Good day, everyone. I think it's a unique opportunity because we have people from all over the world, basically today in our panel. And first of all, I would like to thank Anna because, okay, you made this possible. And I think you do a lot of effort for the industry. And you might say it's small, but it's got big impact anyway. First of all, I'm the host for today for this panel. My name is MARIETTE HOITINK. I'm the owner and founder of HTNK. I run a daytime company, which is a fashion recruitment and consultancy agency. And next to that, I run, together with my partners, the foundation, which is the House of Denim Foundation. And this is the one who started basically the jeans school, the first and only school dedicated to denim and sustainability in the world. And next to that, we opened Denim City here in Amsterdam, where I am right now. So I'm in Denim City in Amsterdam. And in the last year, we also opened a Denim City in Sao Paulo in Brazil, which is 10 times bigger than ours. But okay, it's a similar thing. And we would like to have denim cities for every continent. So this is also an open question to everyone. Like, we are open to it. Today is about trade shows. And as we know, we didn't have trade shows in the last, physical trade shows in the last 2 years. So I think it's a great opportunity to reconnect and to think about a future in which we actually meet. So I think this is the first step. I would like to ask all of you to introduce yourself, and I would like to start with Fabio, please.
Hi, Mariette, and hi, Anna Paula. Thank you to having me here first. I'm here representing Denim Premier Vision and Premier Vision, of course, with whom I started to work in 2017, even if I had many collaboration before. And I spent the last 20 years, something more also, in the denim industry. Most of my working time, it was on the production value chain. I was working in laundries, in garments, with weavers and chemicals companies and machinery too. So it was an incredible journey and experience to see exactly how the jeans is coming out. And finally, I arrived where everything is centralized in the trade show, which is also an interesting experience to be connected with, as you said, with all over the world. So that's in the short.
Thank you. Then I would like to go to SANDEEP, which also got a big track record in the denim industry.
Yeah, thanks, Mariette. So being in the denim industry for the last 30 years almost, so it has been a long run. And basically starting having worked in different companies, I chose to start on my own. And we started our Denims&Jeans.com website around 17 years back approximately. And then we started our denim shows, which we are doing currently in India, in Vietnam, and in Japan. So this is the main activities. Of course, apart from that, we launched our B2B portal, Denims DMJ portal, which brings companies and supply chain together, the buyers together at one place. So it has been denim, all the so I think that will continue for the rest of the period also.
And then I would like to go to, thank you, I would like to go to Joanne.
Well, I'm calling in from Amsterdam. First of all, thank you, Mariette, for hosting this conversation, and thank you, Anna, for inviting me. I'm calling in from Amsterdam, same as Mariette. I have a background in fashion events and fashion shows. I've been producing and directing fashion shows for a long time, for 20 years. Since 2015, I started to work in denim, in the denim events. I started working for Amsterdam Denim Days, and Anna invited me also to speak from that perspective, as Denim Days is a denim consumer festival, so that has a little bit of a different perspective. But I'm also working for a KingPins show, and of course our first KingPins show in 2 years will start in April this year. So we're very excited to work on that and to finally have a physical event again. So I'm involved as an event manager in KingPins show.
Yeah, and so you're representing KingPins right now.
KingPins, well, also Denim Days. Yeah, a bit of both.
Yeah, okay, I hear you. Fabio, I would like to know, what was the biggest, we can talk a lot about the pandemic, but what was the biggest impact on you and our industry?
Let me say that I think that at the moment, I believe it's still difficult to have a clear and definitive picture of the impact, because especially here in Europe, but in Italy, for instance, we are still in the middle of the pandemic crisis. And at the moment, as we know, in Europe, we have, which is in the world, let's say, we have a new big dramatic event that is affecting probably even more than the pandemic situation, because with the pandemic, after a while, we had some tools to adapt ourselves, but now we are in the middle of, let me say, a war in Europe that is changing all the paradigm of the supply chain, from the raw materials and also our humanity. In the last 3 years, I think that the fashion industry rediscovered completely its fragility. We remember very well what happens during the first wave of the pandemic with the supply chain in India or in Bangladesh or in Pakistan, where there was difficulties to complete the orders or to deliver the orders. But also, I think that the fashion industry is showing its capability to adapt to every new situation.
Right.
As PV, going to the detail, it helped us to accelerate the transition that we started much earlier than 2019. We started to work on digitalization really a few years before. It helps us to be faster than expected, to create more qualitative content and functionality, and provide it to our partners since the beginning. Fortunately, we didn't cancel any physical show since June 2021. Mm-hmm. All over in the world, because we had a few editions in Paris. We had already Denim PV in October, as we had one Shenzhen show edition and New York. So the infrastructure of PV helped us to be very reactive and proactive, as in Denim, where we started to create the Digital Denim Week in 2020, that now is part of the physical events.
And how is this for you, Sandeep? Because does the hybrid format really work for your audience? Because it's a big change, I think.
So basically what we have seen in last 1 year, let's say, because last year we started to plan our physical shows, but unfortunately the second wave came in India and other places and we could not do it. So what we have seen is that, first year we spent a lot of time on virtual shows, and people were quite excited to join. But over a period of time, the interest has waned, and we have seen that people are looking for physical interactions, physical meetings. Hybrid, you can say that, okay, when you're talking about hybrid, I would say that 95% would be probably physical, and maybe only 5% the virtual part of the hybrid show. That probably what we are planning, because ultimately the basic interest of people is to come to meet each other, network. It is not only about products, touching the products or seeing the products, which they are already doing because they get the samples from the customers, from their suppliers. This is the main interest is for people to network with each other, to exchange ideas, like human emotions, what they feel when they meet the community. That is probably the most important thing which is missing, and what people are looking for.
Joanne, compared to 2021, how do you think the jeanswear industry will experience the fashion shows? Because you have the history in fashion shows and fairs. Yeah. So I think all of us thought at first, okay, it's all digital, and then you find out, Okay, it's also nice to meet.
Well, everyone is really looking forward to see one another again, of course. And, preparing both the KingPin show and Denim Days Festival for April, we get so much response from everyone. We're looking forward to come to Amsterdam. We want to meet. We want to hug. We want to be with one another. As Sandeep said, the human interaction is something we really missed, of course. So I think for the coming shows, that will be something that's really important. Everyone will really love to see one another again. But on the other hand, I think what happened in 2020 and 2021, the digital developments, the platforms, the digital platforms that we all developed, I think they will keep playing a big role in exchanging information. I think the pandemic accelerated that in every way, but the human aspect, of course, is really important. And I think it will be a big blue party the coming year, for sure. And that will be the big difference from 2021. And Denim PV, of course, did have some physical shows. So there has been have been some interaction, but the world is opening up more and more, and there will be more people able to come in. The other thing is, what I think that might change a little bit is that maybe companies won't travel with really big teams, but that they really understand that this digital way of working also works and works for them. So not everyone has to travel again, not as much as we did in the past. And to be honest, I think that's a good thing, because, well, we have taken it quite far in taking advantage of our planet Earth, and we have to be really careful with that. So there might be some good outcomes there.
I get it. Fabio, what will be the big news you can share on the next edition, and when will the next edition take place?
The next edition is finally in Berlin on 17th and 18th of May. Of course, we moved the previous planning that was 2 years ago now, and it was planned for winter, but now finally we are in Berlin in summer, which is also some interesting things. It will be at Arena Berlin, so a wonderful location where many fashion show happens. And the big news, I agree with all of you, is that finally all our main partners will be able to be with us. We had editions, as I said, of PV, we had edition of Denim PV, but from many countries like Bangladesh, India, and in some cases also from Pakistan. Many of the exhibitors didn't have the chance to join us for travel restriction or for other problems. But this time, all are finally back. As main news, I can say something which we didn't communicate yet. It's really new. For the first time ever, we will have at the Denim PV brands that will exhibit. We will have, for this first time, a limited number of brands that will create, that will present, not will create at the Denim PV in Berlin, a collection. I can say a mini collection, a capsule collection, as you wish. I'm not a fan of the words. And the thing is that they will present there for the first time in a dedicated space that we will design for them. And the nice thing is that to do this, they will use materials and the service from our exhibitors. It's not really a collaboration from exhibitor side to brands, but are the brands at the center of the project, and they had the chance to choose freely the exhibitor with whom they wanted to collaborate.
Can you reveal some names?
Of course, we will have Fade Out label from Berlin, with whom we are also collaborating for the campaign and some other activities at the show, and Rabon Fini, which started to work with us in different ways since 2018, yeah, since 2018. Then we will have Dancy Patrick from London. We will have our common friends, Jonathan Christopher from Netherlands. But we will have Breaks and Co from Hamburg. We will have Peppino, of course. And from Dutch, from Paris. Plus, we will have a new brand in Italy, which is rediscovering the origins of the hemp, which is Jimmy Denim. It's really two young guys, a small one, but they are creating some nice things. Milena Andrade from Milano, and Blue of a Kind also from Milano. Cool. And the really nice things, if I can say, there are few of them. They are always working with Italian fabric or Italian manufacturer or even European, like even people from London or from Amsterdam. But they started to work this time with company from Pakistan or from Bangladesh or from Turkey or from Japan, of course. And I can say that at the moment they are very surprised, satisfied, and happy about the result. Because it doesn't matter where, but it matters who and how, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, because I think, well, the effect from the pandemic in Asia was huge. If I go to Sandeep, what effect do you think that new product offerings or the urgency of sustainable narratives, rising of the raw material cost and the delays on the supply chain will have on the jeans consumption? I think you're much more into this because it's around you.
Compare the 3 years, 2019, 2020 and 2021. So 2019 was a good year in terms of jeans demand, and we saw this demand dipping significantly in 2020. But what we saw in 2021 was that the actual demand was, which actually came to from the consumers, from brands to the supply chain, was actually much higher than even 2019. So basically, it was the pent-up demand for 2020, which probably had converted into the demand for 2021. You know, the consumption have risen like significantly, and especially if you look at regions, supplying regions like Bangladesh, Pakistan, these and let's say even Turkey. So these regions have experienced significant increase in demands. Most of the factories, most of the mills, everybody is full with orders. And that is the reason the whole reason is that there was a pent-up demand, the vacuum which was created in 2020, which was causing all this. But what we also saw is that the cotton prices and the other raw material prices have made a serious dent in the calculations of most of the supply chain. Many people have tried to absorb that, at different levels, the brands, the supply chain, the government manufacturers, mills and all, they have been trying to absorb it. But to a certain extent, it has already been passed on. The price increase has been passed on to the consumers at a very small level. But coming towards the end of 2022, we will see more and more prices being increased by different brands and retailers, because these price increases, what we see in terms of raw materials, in terms of logistics, all these have become kind of semi-permanent till now. And if they continue for another 6 months, they would be kind of more or less permanent, and from that position going back to 2019 levels would be a bit difficult. So what we are looking at is definitely increasing prices of all inputs, and the resultant price increases at the consumer level will be there. And this will definitely affect the consumption of low-priced jeans, especially for the fast fashion, what they've been, giving to the consumers at very low prices, which they're using for throwing it out. And the brands will have to come out with new stories, new narratives, where they can ask for, ask for more price. The reason for more price, they have to sell new stories, and of course, sustainability, traceability, and new kind of technologies in the product would be the basis on which they can create new stories. Because if they don't create new stories, it won't be easy to sell, especially at the low price segment.
I hear you. Joanne, what is the news about KingPins?
The news about KingPins is that KingPins will move to a new venue. So we're leaving the Westerpark in Amsterdam, and we'll go to Sugar City, which is an old sugar factory. It's a really beautiful industrial venue, and yeah, it's going to be an adventurous place to be in. So at this moment, they're still working on some construction. Yeah, it definitely will be adventurous, because we don't know exactly at this point where what some of the areas will look like. So yeah, we're very excited to move to that space.
Right, and this is combined with Denim Days.
KingPins is in Amsterdam on April 20 and 21, and Denim Days is in April on April 22 and 23. And normally Denim Days is an October event, also connected to KingPin show. But for Denim Days, it's for the same for industry as for consumers. We also noticed that people really want to get together, so we thought, let's do an extra Denim Days in April. We have been waiting for 2 years. We have been doing quite some things online. We created a new website for Denim Days where well, both industry and consumers meet, which is an interesting place. But well, it's time to see one another. So we're going to do a smaller edition, the Denim Days, the Markets edition. So we're focusing on a denim market, but there's also some interesting workshops and talks program, smaller, but good. So quality and a little bit less quantity.
And how about expansion for the future? Are you planning expansion to other cities, continents?
With Denim Days?
Yeah.
Well, it's a little bit the same as you know with the House of Denim or Denim Cities. Of course, the Denim Days has been in New York and Nashville in the past, and there's quite a lot of interest in other cities also to invite Denim Days. But it's a small organization, and but we need good partners to make that happen. We're very open to well, conquer the world or visit the world. Maybe that's better, and to collaborate with initiatives in different places. But it's Amsterdam based, so we are definitely to stay in Amsterdam.
In Denim City. Fabio, innovation-wise, is there any innovation which you would like to highlight and which you think, whoa, this is happening now? I would like to share it.
But there is a big things that the actual situation and the culture of the last years is helping to change, which is the mindset of the people. Today, all the actors, let's say, of the fashion industry are changing dramatically their mindset from farmers to end consumers, and they are aware now of the real needs and the critical situation that our planet is living. Again, as I said at the beginning, the fragility of the system. So the sustainable narratives need the concrete approach today. We are at the end, even if it's still there sometimes, we are at the end of the blah 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 blah. But then most of the players are realizing that we need the facts and figures. We need to measure and to finally improve in the reality from every single corner of the value chain, including, of course, the increasing of the culture of the end. And for that, the brands need to act strongly, because the impact of the end. It's true that we made many improvements in the industry, from the fibers to the production, but we need now that also from the end consumers act properly and in a responsible way with their garments.
But so how do you think that brands can do? Because I completely understand there's a lot of innovation going on in the whole supply chain, and then it goes to the brand, and then it has to go to the end consumer. is there a way to get like the story out which consumers can understand? Because of course there's a lot of information here, and at the same time it needs translation to a consumer, because they basically, like I always compare it to the chicken and the egg. You want to buy a good egg and a good chicken, and you don't want to be like, I understand that everyone is working on transparency, and it's definitely, it should be there. At the same time, it needs a translation to consumers. And I don't know how you experience this with both the mills and the brands on how to do that.
For example, when I go to Amsterdam, I see that many people from the shops, but also the people that is with the shops, has a lot of culture of what they have in hand when we talk about denim. They know from where it's coming, they know how it's done, they know how to wash later, which is something very unique in the world that you don't find it in many other places like in Amsterdam. It means that organization and places like Denim City made a lot of good job in the years, because it's not something that happened from one day to another. So, and
what is innovation today? In 2-3 years, we will laugh about it and think, okay, we thought it was a good idea, and now we know better. So it's improving, and it's learning by doing all the time. And I think, but from a consumer perspective, I think no one really understands. And it is because we also have a store here in Denim City that people walk in and ask a lot of questions. They have no clue on how complex this whole supply chain is. And the moment, for example, we do workshops here, which is make your own jeans, and then they get a rigid jeans, they get an explanation about sustainability, where this is from, etc. And then they make the jeans, and then they can use the laser machine and ozone, etc. They have a huge amount of respect then for a product. Up to then, it was just a product. And then it became something which is like, okay, and we explain to them also how much faster this has to go in a factory. And for them, it takes 3 days to make a pair of pants. So, but it's an interesting journey.
How much time it will take for a consumer to change that perspective, or to change consumer behavior. You need 3 days to make a jean to understand that. So I think also education might help to create awareness, and start with children to educate them, to let them know not only about fashion, but it's related to everything.
I just worked on a small book for kids around 10 years old with the history of denim and what it is right now. And I think that's super interesting, because it's going to be in all libraries in Holland, and then they know a lot more. So they needed the actual information on what's going on. And so in this book, they already talk about laser, ozone, sustainability, innovation, all these things for a 10-year-old. And I think it's a good idea. It's
a wonderful idea. I think, and also Merit, I would like to add that, basically, if you see that the brands are ready. I mean, they really want to bring out stories for the consumers, and give them very clear ideas of what they are trying to do in terms of sustainability, in terms of circularity. But for all this, I think traceability is one of the biggest connecting point which is required, and where they can speak about their stories in a very verifiable way. Which is something possible only when you are tracing all the material inputs which are going into the denim.
Fabio, is there anything you want to see more or less in 2022?
It's true, it was important to see each other, to have information. But really, when I say I wanted to see less webinar, it's because it's the dream to be not to be back, to move forward to another better world, not only for the pandemic, where we will have the chance to travel with no limits, with a light soul, a light mood.
Yeah, and Sandeep, for you, same question. What do you see more or less in 2022?
Merit, as I already mentioned, of course, one thing is traceability. I believe that this is probably the biggest thing which can change our industry when we're talking about the industry and products and all. So that is one thing. But coming to us as a community, I would like to see more physical interactions, more travel, and let's say more technologies which to be used in a better way and to blend with the physical way of working, which makes it easy for us to make the physical part also doing the physical part, but also using the technologies out there. And of course, as Fabio said, more peace, more happiness, less wars, less COVID.
Right. Well, Joanne, what can you add to this?
Well, I think everything has been said. First of all, what I want to see less on a global perspective, of course, let this horrible war in Ukraine end as soon as possible. That's a really big thing, of course, and there's nothing more we would want. But on a personal level, totally agree with Fabio. I really don't want to see any webinars anymore. I don't want to see, I want to see much less of my computer. And on the other hand, I think the webinars have been really important and still are important to spread information on a larger scale than we can in live events. So there's a good and a bad on everything. What I want to see more as well is I hope technology will help us evolve to enable on-demand production, for example, to enable far more circular systems to make the industry accelerate to a really a point of well, that we can think, well, we're doing it in the best possible way. So I hope that will happen. Probably not in 2022 because it's a really short period of time. And I really hope that in 2022 there will be more awareness about where we are and what we can do to be maybe a better consumer in our industry. And yeah, I think that's really important. And I want to see more color. Everything has been so black and blue. So let's bring in some color.
Okay, we're going to make it really vibrant. Well, I don't have any questions left. If you want to add something, be my guest. If you think I have really something important I need to share, please do.
I think one point probably which is getting important in our industry, which I've noticed, is that near sourcing is getting more and more important, and this is a trend which is likely to continue, where the brands and retailers would want more and more productions very close to their markets, and this is probably going to affect the industry in the coming years in quite a significant way.
Yeah, wow. I'm looking forward, and I want to thank you. I know this is one of these things. At the same time, I also think it's an honor because we would never meet. So like this, we meet people. I always compare it to dating apps. Not that I'm on a dating app, but you can meet people which you would normally not meet. And I want to thank you because it's, to me, it's really nice. And it's a bright Monday right now. So, okay, looking forward to this week and the coming months. And well, I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Same for you.
And thank you, Joan, Fabio, and Anna for making this happen.
Thank you so much.